Do you need some energy to get through the day without relying on coffee? I got just the thing for you. It's called Neuro, and I'm partnering up with them for today's video. Neuro has gum and mints to energize, calm, and focus when you need it. They were developed by former athletes who were training at the highest level and simply didn't want to take any mysterious supplements or energy drinks when studying, training, or even going out. Instead of something sugary and ineffective, they wanted to create clean and balanced energy that could be taken anytime and anywhere. Their energy and focus formula is specially formulated with natural caffeine, theanine, and B vitamins to sustain the mental endurance necessary to maintain your focus. Their calm and clarity formula is expertly developed with GABA, vitamin D3, and L-theanine to optimize composure and clarity of mind. Their health and vitality formula is specially infused with life-enhancing, immune-boosting vitamins to help strengthen and support your body. What makes Neuro different? Neuro's gone through dozens of formulations, process, and tests to ensure that each gum and mint they make delivers on their promise of getting you in the right state at the right time. Unlike other heat-extruded gum and mints, Neuro's products are created using cold compression technology, which maintains each ingredient's bioavailability. Neuro is a clean boost of energy without the jitters of coffee or an energy drink. With so many challenges and demands, it can be really hard to stay focused, and Neuro does a great job of keeping you calm, cool, and collected. Stress, fatigue, lack of focus can all impact decision-making abilities. Recently, I had been feeling sluggish and have been distracted with everything going on in my life. These Neuro mints, however, have allowed me to stay on task and have stayed calm, cool, collected, as well as alert, and I've been able to change my approach and focus on the task at hand. Go to my sponsor link now down below, tryneurogum.com/JKB to enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it. All right, folks, we're here, we're back, and we are live. I don't know if I look as much as hard as I've worked, but I mean, I'm so beat, and we're doing the live stream tomorrow. Alexis and I, we're doing it all 3 days in the draft. So really excited for that. I've podcasted like 10, 11 times with Cam over the last, week and a half now. So sorry for the delay in the live streams. I just wanted to let you guys know exactly why it was happening. Just doing all sorts of content, whether it's, research or whatever, getting this thing ready. I mean, it's been a lot. I've worked my tail off, and I normally don't say that, but man, I feel like I have to just to kind of let you guys know, like, haven't really slept well, talking 4 hours, sleep schedule. We're talking up until 8 a.m., waking up at noon. I'm ready for this whole process to be over, but in a good way. I'm very excited. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And, I really appreciate your support of me. I just wanted to address, there was a back and forth I had with Andrew Whitworth on Twitter. We're good, okay? I don't have any ill will towards him. I'm sure he doesn't have any ill will towards me. We're good. I'm not, that's out there, and it was just a discussion, but I think people looked at it as like it was a rivalry or something. I have nothing against Witt, okay? Witt is a big reason why the Rams won a Super Bowl, so I have nothing against him. I also have nothing against people that want to take his side because, quite honestly, it's a former player. But here's my thing. There are no sides, right? At the end of the day, if you're here, you're a Rams fan. At the end of the day, if you're here, you want Rams content. So that's what we're going to do. Before we get into that, a big, shout out and thank you to Nitery for sponsoring this and the draft. In case you guys didn't know, you can head on over to Nitery, and there's an app here, and you can sign up. $10 entry fee will get you in. Answer a bunch of questions for the draft. The link is in the description, and you win money. Like, that's fun, right? So it's going to be the first and second round. Questions like, does Adebare, I totally pronounced his name wrong. Adebare from Northwestern, does he go before Kalijah Cansey, things like that. So be sure to check that out in the description. I'll put it in the comments section as well. It is Nightery. Let's have some fun. Let's get into it. You guys have been waiting patiently, and boy, did I cook for you guys. Hopefully, we'll see if you guys like this or not. So the Rams mock draft 1.0. This is the first time I'm doing a mock draft. This is the only time I'm doing a mock draft for the Los Angeles Rams. In the past, those of you who have followed me know that I've done 5, I've done 7, I've done 9. 1.0, man. This is it. This is the whole shebang. And what I will say for the history books, when this goes down as the greatest mock draft of all time, just kidding, of course. But when this goes down and people bring it up like, hey, Jake, you were high on Will McDonald. Why didn't you stay by that pick? Because, my friends, I have to tell you something. I'm not very happy about it. The Rams probably are not getting Will McDonald Jr. Or Will McDonald the fourth. They're probably not getting Emmanuel Forbes. They're probably not getting Jalen Hyatt. So this mock draft is, we talk about it all the time on this channel, adapt or die. Well, we're adapting. We're not dying here. So with the first pick in this draft, it's with a great pleasure to announce that there has been a trade, okay? 36th overall. We have traded that away, and we have traded the 5th rounder, 167. We have traded with the Washington Commanders so they can move up and acquire their franchise quarterback in the future in Hendon Hooker. And we're taking pick 47. We're taking in a 97th overall pick. That's an additional 3rd. And we're getting a 5th, so 150 in the 5th round. To explain all that, you get an additional 3rd round pick to move down 11 spots, and you get a 17 pick swap. Those of you who know me know that's a little bit of a nod to the Allen Robinson trade. But in all seriousness, of course, the Rams are moving up in one of their 5th round picks. They're moving up to 150. There. So instead of 167, they'll be picking 150. So with that pick, the LA Rams select DJ Turner, cornerback, Michigan. He's 5'11", 179. I'm a big fan of DJ Turner. I'm a big believer in DJ Turner. That speed, you can't teach speed. He ran a 4.2. So now you have a 4.2 cornerback that can play on the outside. You look at his ball skills. He didn't have as many interceptions. He's a true separator of the ball. This is somebody that I think has fluid hips, somebody that I think is going to translate very well to the next level. So why did we go this route? Okay, I'll explain. So at the end of the day, when going through, the Rams only have 3 corners on the roster. And at the end of the day, you need more than 3 corners. And I'm not super high on the corners on the roster outside of, and I was super, let me just say this. I mocked Robert Rochelle to go to the Rams in the past. One of these live mock drafts led to the Rams getting him. But they haven't used Robert Rochelle in a way that makes me think they have any sort of plan for him. So I'm not buying that. I'm taking my 5th overall corner on the board. He's the best corner available. I have, in my notes here, true man corner at the next level, but I think he has the, versatility to play in the zone. Rams run that soft zone. He can play the boundary or the slot. He's a fantastic athlete, fluid movement skills, rangy corner, has the long speed to recover in any instance. We saw that on tape. He could stick to the wide receiver's hip pocket. I think he's got a killer instinct, and I think he's a decent tackler, and he can be counted on in run support. I like Turner's athleticism. I like Turner's technique. I think he is prone to getting put out of position by bigger wide receivers. So against your giants, we're talking like Calvin Johnson-esque builds, he might struggle against. But I think he's a day one starting corner. And I think the Rams would be making themselves better by adding Turner to that. So it's a shame that we couldn't go with one of the top 3 guys on my board that I was hoping would fall. Jalen Hyatt would give us a really nice deep threat down the field. Then you look at, of course, Will McDonald, who I've been pounding the table for this whole time. Will McDonald would make a lot of sense. The problem is he's not going to be there. I'm assuming he's not. Okay, don't if you don't expect things, you can never be disappointed, right? Like, I mean, if you expect disappointment, you'll never be disappointed. So that's what I'm doing. That might be the bad way to put it, but no knock though. DJ Turner would be a great pick here at 47. Those of you who are tuning in, we traded down. So we got an additional third, and we got a pick swap in the 5th round, up 17 spots. So where does DJ Turner play? Well, DJ Turner is going to come in right away, and he's going to be a starting corner on the outside. Now, as of right now, with, say, no other draft pick happens, as of right now, DJ Turner would be on the outside with either Robert Rochelle, Jacoby Durant, or Darion Kendrick, and the slot corner would be one of those guys that I just mentioned. Now, I have heard that the Rams like Jacoby Durant in the slot. I'm not a huge fan of that because just looking him as a slot corner, I think it's diminishing his overall, attributes and what he can do for this team. I think he's got legit star potential, and they got a total gem in the 4th round. And I think DJ Turner's a gem. So having those two guys for the long haul, it's a pretty darn good looking secondary. So we move on here. The pick is in, my friends, and we are at pick 69. Nice. We stayed there. Had to stay there. You can't trade out of pick 69. Come on now. So we stayed at pick 69, and we decided, you know what? We're not going to move down. We're going to pick 69. We're going to get an edge defender, and we are going to go out and get Isaiah McGuire out of Missouri. He is an edge defender that is somebody that can deconstruct blocks. He's probably the best block deconstructor in the entire draft of all the edge defenders that I watched. Looking at his overall tape, I was just absolutely blown away by this guy. I felt like, to me, he's somebody that's not getting enough credit. I think he's definitely way lower on some people's boards than mine. And I think you're getting somebody that has great overall build for the position. He can win with speed. He can win with power. He's got an unstoppable motor. He's got some decent explosive ability as well. And while he's decently explosive, he tackles well. He reacts well. He's got good hand usage. He's got a pass rush plan. His main calling card is going to be as a run defender. And some may shy away at that. That doesn't mean he's a bad pass rusher, but that means I'm getting somebody that can be a certified dog, set the edge, and, bring that kind of ferocity back to the defense that's going to need it in addition to AD. So I like this. I think it makes sense. I think when you look at right now the position, this is somewhat mirroring who they have in Michael Hoyt. He's not going to be 300 pounds. I believe the plan was to get him down to 275. So you go with 275 on one side, you go with 270 around that on the other. Isaiah McGuire is going to give you that guy that, he can be a team captain. He's somebody that I talked about on Believe in Rams with Cam a lot. He's somebody that Cam brought up on our other show, Off the Edge. I love the guy. Blaine Grisak is also a big fan of his. So I think this makes a lot of sense. This is a really tough decision here because I can't stress enough, the Rams right now have Daniel Hardy, who's a 7th round pick, who is going to take some time to develop. They have Keir Thomas, who is a UDFA. They have Michael Hoyt, UDFA, who they transferred, by the way, there. They actually found him. They got lucky and found him. They don't have a lot of help on the edge right now, okay? And Isaiah McGuire's a day one starter in my mind and can be a true leader. But the thing that makes this difficult is that you're not getting that speed rusher. You're not getting the super crazy bend off the edge with him. He's not as bendy as, say, a Will McDonald. The problem is the Rams are kind of in no man's land here. If you don't get Isaiah McGuire, and the way my mock turned out, like if you don't get Isaiah McGuire, there's not a lot to work with. There are some guys that are good developmental pieces, But aside from him, I was looking at Byron Young as another option here. That was it. Like after that, I was not feeling it. So I think this is kind of where the NFL draft's going to go, the direction it's going to go in. You need pass rushers. These quarterbacks can't be sitting there all day to throw the ball. You can't have Patrick Mahomes have all the time in the world. So teams are going to focus on pass rush. And so I do think that that creates a little bit of an issue. And there's not going to be as many pass rushers there when the Rams pick at 36. And I think it's best to wait. Pick Isaiah McGuire here. Some may call this a reach. I think this is where he's going to go. I think teams are going to be higher on him than the mock draft community. And I went with Isaiah McGuire getting another starter. So 2 day one starters right off the rip in this mock draft. We move on here. So this is a little weird. At pick 77, they acquired this pick via the Jalen Ramsey trade. Now, I actually toyed with the idea of trading up. I toyed with the idea of trading up from 36 to get into the first round, get a fifth round, not fifth round, but fifth year option, and going out and either getting Forbes, McDonald, or Jalen Hyatt. I think there's a chance they do that. But clearly I don't have them going in that direction in this mock. So I decided to trade down again. And at pick 77, I'm going to move down here with Jacksonville. Okay. Jacksonville is going to slide up to 77. I'm going to move down to 88. So I moved down 11 spots again. And in return, I'm going to acquire their 121st pick. I'm going to get that fourth round pick back in my, arsenal, and let's ride. So with this pick, I'm going to go at 88 overall. I'm going to go with a guy that is falling down draft boards community-wise because there's a durability concern. There are people that are concerned that he didn't test. There are people that are concerned about his overall speed, none of which bothers me because I'm going with a guy that played as a complete certified dog on the boundary at Syracuse. Garrett Williams is my pick. I must say Garrett Wilson. Garrett Williams is my pick. And here's the thing. The graphic is messed up, so don't even mind that. But Garrett Williams is the pick. He's not 268 pounds. I just had to throw that in there. No, he tore his ACL in October, and it stopped him from testing. That's obviously that's a big issue. But he led the ACC in pass breakups from 2020 and 2021. He had zero penalties in that time. To me, this is somebody that has fantastic footwork. He's really hard for wide receivers to separate from. He's a captain as a corner, a willing run defender. If you're looking for somebody that can add you special teams experience, somebody that can add, run support, his natural coverage ability, I don't care about his long speed because this guy doesn't get burned very often, So I'm going to go with Garrett Williams here. I think he's a certified dog. And I think now the Rams can do whatever they want because you got three guys that, in my opinion, I don't care where you put them on the field. Garrett Williams on the outside, DJ Turner on the outside, Jacoby Durant is your slot corner. And now all of a sudden, that secondary that we were a little bit worried about, I'm feeling pretty darn good about, going into it. Now you're starting two rookies. Jake, how are they going to start two rookie corners? I'll tell you. The Chiefs started two rookies in the Super Bowl. I'm sure you've heard that before. I'm sure it's an over thing. It's something that you're probably tired of with, I think it was Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie, and they were starting a second-year guy in L'Jarius Sneed. But this is where the NFL is going. This is the direction they're going in. So I have them double dipping on corners in the first three picks. I'm going defense in the first three picks. I know there's a lot of talk about them being all in on the offense. It's not to say that I'm not buying it, but what it is to say is that I believe that the Rams are somewhat prioritizing defense, and I believe that they just kind of want to reset the clock, and that's the hope. So it makes sense in that regard. You get guys all in the same, 4-year swing, right? Now Jacoby Durant His contract expires. He was drafted last year, 2022, so expires in 2026. These guys will be 2027. So that's a good thing. You want to have that sustained. And then if you want to bring certain guys back, you can. It gives you that flexibility, but I think it makes sense. So you got a pass rush. You got a pass rusher and a run defender. You get 2 boundary corners. You got to be feeling good about this mock so far. If you're not, let me know in the comment section below. I will be looking at all that after the mock. I'll be watching it, but I'll be commenting on it after. All right, let's move on. All right. Pick number 97. Yes, the Rams did not have this pick until I made that trade with the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are sitting pretty. In this scenario here, they already got their quarterback in Hendon Hooker. They're glad they trade up. In this scenario, the Rams are glad they made that trade. And here's why. Because they are going to get a guy that I don't think is getting enough respect. Okay? He is my number 3 player at the position in this draft. And this guy has great size. He's 6'3", about 200 pounds, close to it. And he just does things that you don't typically see from that type of size at his position. And folks, I'm talking about A.T. Perry out of Wake Forest. Okay, 6'3", 198. He has an extensive route tree. You know, he tracks the ball naturally. He uses his body to box out defenders, high points the football. He's got great agility. He can make guys miss in space. A.T. Perry, when I watch the tape, I'm like, why is no one talking about him? He's got a really good catch radius. He had 28 receiving touchdowns in the last 2 seasons alone. He can be used as a red zone threat at the very least. If he does not work out, he can be used as a red zone threat. The Rams did not score a lot of points last year, so just throw it up to A.T. Perry in the red zone. He can make guys miss, but the thing that I found really interesting was that he was a polished route runner. He ran a 4.47. I don't really buy that on tape. I think he's more of a 4.52 guy. I don't think he's a 4.4 speed, so to speak. But on tape, this guy actually is a really, really good route runner. And the people that are saying he isn't just simply are looking at the fact that he's 6'3". And it's just this assumption that if you play big and you're tall on the outside, you can't run routes, well. He runs routes better than some of the smaller wide receivers in this class. So I think, and here's the thing, I love Charlie Jones. He's my number 2 wide receiver in this class out of Purdue. I love him. He is not in this mock draft. But my thing that the Rams need to look at is how they're going to continue to diversify that receiver room. Because I don't think they were wrong to go out and get Allen Robinson. I understood what they were doing. I think they failed at it, and honestly, they could have given it a second chance, but they didn't. I think when you look at A.T. Perry, you're getting that big-bodied receiver. He's not filled out, right? He's 200 pounds. He's more skinnier, but you're getting that length on the outside, right? Van 6'1", Cooper Kupp 6'2". You got 5'9", Tutu Atwell. I think you need to get some length, and I think right now A.T. Perry is definitely the guy that is flying under the radar. He's going to make a team really happy, and I'm hoping it's the Rams. I am going off the board here at 97, and I won't commit to where he is. I think to me, you draft him and he's used situationally. He's going to have to work against guys like, Lance McCutcheon first off. He'll probably beat him out. Then he's got to go up against Ben Skoranek. I would give Skoranek the edge. I think Perry's somebody that can help you this year, but he's not a day one starter, and he doesn't have to be. If you look, Van Jefferson, contract season, right? You have Cooper Kupp. He's solidified. Tutu Atwell is Tutu Atwell. He is that, blazer over the top. He's a better route runner than advertised. He's somebody that's going to have a serious role in this offense. Van's probably not coming back, and we don't know about Skoranek, who's kind of a role player, right? He kind of does a little bit of everything. So my point here is that I think Perry, at the very least, is setting up to have a receiver throw on the outside next year, but at the very least is giving you some depth and can help you in situations this year. It's a little high for that, but I'm very high on him, and I think he can start if need be. I'm just saying he's going to a situation where it works for him because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to have that pressure. You know, he can be himself and work on himself, and now you have, you know, a really good looking, you know, depth-filled receiver room there. Okay, we move on here, and this is a little different. Pick 121 from the trade with Jacksonville. For those of you who missed it, they moved from 77. They moved up from 88 to 77. They gave us a fourth. And so we're going to go out and we're going to get somebody you might not have heard. You might have heard. His name is Marte Mapu. He is a defensive back, linebacker, 6'3", 221 out of Sacramento State. And the thing about Mapu is that if you're looking, or if you were bummed that your team missed out on Jeremy Chin the year he came out, I swear to God, this is the next Jeremy Chin. Like, if he pans out, he is literally Jeremy Chin 2.0. He's that same crazy guy, goes to the Senior Bowl, late edition, blows up the Senior Bowl, small school guy no one talks about. I feel like Mapu is somebody for the Rams who value versatility, who have had those pseudo-esque linebackers, guys that you could call tweeners. I call them chess pieces. Look, you got Taylor Rapp was a pseudo linebacker. You got Mark Barron. You got, Howard. Traven Howard. I mean, all sorts of these guys, right? To me, Mapu, you can find a role for him. He can work as a chess piece on that defense. I think he's more NFL ready than people give him credit for. He's not a cornerback. So that's incorrect on the graphic. But he's not a cornerback. He's going to be a safety. He's going to be a linebacker, can kind of do it all there. He's got really intriguing upside, really intriguing size there. So you address the safety linebacker hole, I guess, at pick 121. So we move on here to the 5th round here. And I'm a big fan of this next guy. I like a huge fan of this next guy. He's probably, in my opinion, he's one of the best tight ends in this draft. 2nd, 3rd rounder. I'm going to go with Clemson tight end Davis Allen. Okay. He may not even be here for 150, but I am a big believer in Davis Allen. I think he's a better blocker than given credit. I think he's a really good receiving threat. He catches everything thrown his way, whether he's contested or not. So I really like Davis Allen here. I think there's going to be people right now, Jake, you haven't addressed the offensive line. The Rams are kind of in no man's land with some of these picks, where I think they're going to be missing out on guys to the point where you'll have to reach just to address offensive line. And I don't think they're going to be spending that many picks on the offensive line. So I'll just address that now. There's going to be an offensive lineman at some point, but just know that this is probably going to be the case where they're not going to go offensive line early. They're probably going to try to focus on the defense, get a skill position player, and that's probably what they're going to do. Maybe they go running back or somebody like that. Who knows? They could go offensive line. I just don't expect it to happen. So Davis Allen, what you're getting here is a guy who's going to come in right away, and he's going to compete with Bryson Hopkins for the tight end 2 position and Hunter Long. I think he right off the bat can win that job, although I think Hopkins is better than given credit for. Higbee's in a contract year. Hopkins is in a contract year. So you need to address the tight end position. Now, I know some people will say, Hunter, Kraft, why didn't you go with Kraft? Why didn't you go with this guy? Why didn't you go? Because if you go with a tight end that early on, then, you miss out on some of these better corners. And I think there's a little drop off in corners. However, there's some steals. So, that's something there. But Davis Allen is the pick at pick 150 in the 5th round. We moved up the 17 spots, LOL, with Washington in that Hendon Hooker deal. So moving on, we have the next pick here. It is pick 171. And I am going to address a position that simply is not, it has no depth, none. And that's the quarterback position, folks. We're going out and we're going to go and get ourselves a quarterback. Jaren Hall out of BYU. I don't know how many times I have to say his name before people realize how much I love this guy, if you haven't already. But Jaren Hall is a fun prospect. This is a guy that, to me, when you look at the mobility factor, that's great. He fits the NFL game. You know, size doesn't matter anymore for quarterbacks. That's already been broken. That size barrier's gone. So he's filled out at 207, which is a good thing. But when you look at, at least in my opinion, Jaren Hall, this is somebody that can help you, if he develops, I think he could be a legit franchise quarterback. But the thing with Jaren Hall, ball placement. He's not just generally accurate. I believe he can be pinpoint accurate. Okay. He's very similar to a Jalen Hurts in college, a Russell Wilson in college. Like, that's how he plays. Everyone wants to say, well, Zach Wilson. I mean, Zach Wilson was a top 2 pick in the draft. So it's not bad that he would be compared to Zach Wilson. But no, I think that's more scouting the helmet. At the end of the day, I think Jaren Hall makes a lot of sense for the Rams. He's a developmental quarterback that I think, dare I say, if he had to go in there and play, he could. The best position for the Rams right now is to draft Jaren Hall and sign Carson Wentz. Have Carson be your backup, have Jaren Hall sit there and develop. You could also go the route of trading for one of the draft picks last year. What that looks like, I don't know, but maybe it's somebody like Malik Willis, right? I don't know, but one of those guys. But I think they do need to go out and address the quarterback position, get a true backup. And I think Carson Wentz would give him that. And I think Jaren Hall has, potential franchise quarterback upside with him. And so I really like this pick. I don't know why he's flying down the boards in mock drafts, but he is. So I'll gladly pick him in the 5th round. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes way higher, though. All right. We got the last pick in the 5th round. I had to address the offensive line position, and I'm going to go out and get my number 2 center in the draft, Ricky Stromberg. He may or may not fall here, but I'm just going to say, for argument's sake, he fell for me. I'm going to say he falls here. So Ricky Stromberg, in my opinion, is probably the most slept on interior offensive lineman in this draft. And I've mentioned it before, very balanced overall game. I just could not get enough of his tape. I thought, the mean streak is clearly on display. He's got a great anchor in pass pro. He's a true people mover as a run blocker. He's not just a technician. He can be that mauler for you, and he can work as a pulling center. I mean, this guy is incredibly athletic for the position. He explodes out of his stance. I'd probably say he's the most athletic center in the draft. And I think he's got the versatility skill set wise to kick in at guard if need be, which could get him on an NFL field quicker if the Rams don't want to, put him in at center. So the thing is, he's strong enough for the NFL game. I don't worry about his balance issues. Like the thing is, when I'm watching a guy like, say, John Michael Schmitz, he has a hard time staying upright. You can't block guys when you're on the ground, right? So he's constantly, all over his tape is littered with balance issues. I don't have that issue with Ricky Stromberg. People are saying he's a little undersized. I don't care. If that's why he's going to fall to the 5th round and I get all of that, okay. I see top 8 center potential in this guy, and you can scoff at this being, okay, you hit that pick and, okay, you address the offensive line, but it was the 5th round. Do not let the 5th round tag fool you. Ricky Stromberg is a dog and could start day 1 in the NFL if given credit for. So I wanted to say that. All right. We move on to the 6th round. 6th round is going to have some interesting names you probably have heard of before because I've mentioned them on the channel. But this first one I've talked about quite a lot, okay? This is a top 10 running back in the draft. I don't think he gets enough credit either. We are talking about my 7th overall running back out of a school that had the fastest ever timed 40 time running back in, the combine history before John Ross broke it. This is Keaton Mitchell out of East Carolina. I understand you look Oh, 5'7", 179, Jake. What are you thinking there? He's going to get killed. Keaton Mitchell is a starting football player. What I mean by that is he doesn't have a position. He can play running back, no doubt. The 179 frame, he didn't fumble. He doesn't fumble. He really didn't have an issue holding on to the football. Okay? So that's the thing. I trust his ball security. He's got outstanding agility. He's got quick feet. He's incredibly explosive. I feel like he could take any run to the house. He's got the hands of a true receiver. I think he's got better hands than half of the receivers, more than half, probably 75% of the receivers in this class alone. Okay. Elite level burst. We're talking home run speed for days, something that's not actively on this roster. When you look at Cam Akers, when you look at, Kyron Williams, when you look at, any of those guys, they don't have that breakaway speed that Keaton Mitchell has. Okay. Keaton Mitchell ran a 4.3. He's got good vision for the position. He's going to be, in my opinion, Keaton Mitchell will end up being that RB2 / slot receiver gadget guy that ends up being a household name in fantasy. Because I'll tell you right now, people laughed at Tony Pollard going as high as he did, and Tony Pollard has turned into a star. And he has not once ever been considered by his team as the go-to guy until this year, really. So that's my thing. Why is Keaton Mitchell available in the 6th round? His size. I think this running back class is so good and so depth-filled and so overall deep. Like, just you talk about the class. It's deep. I mean, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Tajay Spears, Israel Abanikanda, Davon Achane, you got Zach Charbonnet, you got Deuce Vaughn, you got Roshan Johnson, Kendre Miller, Zach Evans, Kenny McIntosh, Xavier Valade, Tank Bigsby, Muhammad Ibrahim, Evan Hull, Eric Ray, Sean Tucker, Jordan Mims, Chase Brown, Chris Rodriguez, Dwayne McBride, Cameron Peoples. I mean, you got all these running backs. There is a very good chance that a Keaton Mitchell could fall because of that size. Because those other running backs are 5'11", 6 feet, 6'1". They're all running in the 4.4s because everyone has a good pro day now. So, I mean, I'm just keeping that in mind moving forward. So anyway, Keaton Mitchell off the board, pick 182 by the Rams. Now we have pick 189 here. And I got to get a guy that you're familiar with. Okay. We have a LA fan base here. And I know people out there are UCLA and USC fans. And last year I picked Quentin Lake going to the Rams. He was in one of my mock drafts. He was in my final mock draft, and I scratched the back of some UCLA fans. Not to say that he didn't go in my mock draft regardless, but I gave you guys some love. Well, I got to give some love to USC. And so I'm going to go with a guy who shouldn't fall this far. Quite honestly, I don't know if I believe it. He's being slept on. He's a top 10 corner in the draft, but Mekhi Blackmon out of USC. I mean, was Alex Grinch's defense so bad to the point that it actually camouflaged Mekhi Blackmon and his ability? Like, is this guy really, for real, is he going to fall this far in the draft? I think there's a chance. I don't know what okay, he lacks some things, but when I look at the tape, I'm like, future boundary corners starting, in the NFL. 1-year starter at USC, played 4 years at Colorado, fluid hips, got instincts for the boundary, really good athlete. He's disruptive in press coverage, so he's versatile. Good, solid tackler and a willing tackler. He's not going to make those business decisions and sidestep tackle opportunities. He's going to make you pay. He's going to at least try to. He's got the long speed to carry upfield with any receiver. He wasn't burned often in college. I think he gets a little panicky at times, needs to trust his technique more. He'll tend to, grab on and, when the ball's in the air. But I think he's being slept on. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that he's 178 pounds, but I don't know. I think at the end of the day, Mekhi Blackmon is way better than this 6th round, selection, but I'll take him. So now all of a sudden, we've completely bolstered the cornerback room. We went from Robert Rochelle and Darion Kendrick behind Jacoby Durant to having a cornerback room that now is consisted of DJ Turner, Garrett Williams, and Mekhi Blackmon. Yes, I'm feeling good about that. Yes, I think that's a win for the Rams. And if they do that, you should feel good about that as well. Because let's not forget, last year, there was a point where Raheem Morris's defense was without 3 of their starting 4 cornerbacks. So you're feeling it, man. And it's not to say, look, I'll tell you right now, they cut Terrell Burgess, right? They cut Terrell Lewis. They've cut guys in the past that have been draft picks, that have been high draft picks. Wouldn't rule them out cutting a Darion Kendrick, who's a 6th rounder, if he doesn't step up and he can't beat those guys out. Wouldn't rule them out, cutting Robert Rochelle. I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go with it. But I'm drafting players. I'm drafting football players that are going to help my football team. Mekhi Blackmon is clearly a best available pick, but he can also help in that regard. So with that said, let's move on because we got 3 more picks here. Yeah, I loaded it up, man. Got 3 more picks here. So who are we going with? We are going to go with a guy that has played in big time. I'm talking big time games. We're talking the tip of the top. We're going to go with Warren McClendon out of Georgia. He's a guy to me that is also flying under the radar. I'm a big fan of his game, and I don't think he's getting talked about nearly enough. He's somebody that started for, honestly, he reminds me so much of Tremaine Ankrum, but I think he fits the offensive tackle position more. So I like this because I don't think the Rams are going to spend too much capital on the offensive line. Mind you, they're looking at last year like it was one of those unfortunate seasons. We want to see if these guys can work, and then we'll move on. That doesn't seem like a team that's about to shell out a 2nd or 3rd for a guy. So with that said, Warren McClendon, developmental tackle. I think he's really darn good for a 6th round pick, and so I'm going with him. And then next up here, we're going to take advantage. The 4 pillars would be in effect, and Billy Devaney would never pick this guy. The former Rams GM would never pick this guy. But, I mean, Les Snead has done this before. And I'm not going to say that it's a guarantee, but I could definitely see it. Brenton Cox Jr. out of Florida. You're at the point in the draft. 7th round, pick 223. This guy is a 2nd, 3rd, 4th round talent. So 2nd through 4th round talent with off the field concerns that I'm not really that concerned about. Maybe it's just me. Like maybe I'm the problem here and I should be more concerned about it. But I'm not. I'm not. And, he fell outside of the top 10 for me. He was 11th on my board out of all the edge defenders. I loved watching his tape. He was dismissed from both Georgia and Florida. That's how he's available here. But I think he's a potential steal. I think when you look at how he was dismissed for punching a Georgia player mid-game, which seems ridiculous to me because he was on Florida and it was in the middle of a play. It wasn't like they got into a fight. I don't know. And he was, the dismissal from Georgia was like a mutual thing from what it sounded like. And there was a marijuana arrest and maybe some locker room issues. But for the most part, the NFL is different. Let's not forget Janoris Jenkins. This guy had a rap sheet and he got to the NFL and not a peep. Tremaine Johnson had red flags, off the field concerns, whatever, not a peep. So Les Snead drafted both those guys. Wouldn't be surprised if they draft a guy like Brenton Cox. They need help. They need help on the edge. It's that simple. And they added in this, you add Isaiah McGuire, but there needs to be more bodies here. And this is somebody I don't want to have to fight for him in UDFA because I think that's what teams are going to do. He's going to be a priority. So why not draft him in the 7th round here at pick 223 and see what you can do? I mean, he's got, I think his technique needs work. And normally those character concerns, They show up on tape. I don't see it on tape, guys. I see a guy that has a nonstop motor, okay? I see a nonstop motor with this guy. This guy plays like his hair's on fire. That's why I want to buy into him. That right there shows me, okay, maybe you had some things in college. I can work with that. What I can't work with is when your, motor runs hot and cold. Why does it run hot and cold? Why are you not giving it your all? If you have, okay, your motor runs hot and cold and you're Jalen Carter, that's different. But if you're already putting on your, on your resume, we know there are red flags about your, your background, whatnot, and then you're not putting your, you're not giving it your all on tape, then I'm not going to look at that. But I'm not seeing that with him. So I got to give him his due, and I think it makes sense for the Rams. I know people will scout the helmet and immediately say Ja'Kai Polite. With that, I would say Ja'Kai Polite wasn't bad with the Rams. He just didn't really get much of a chance, and when he did, he looked pretty solid. So, anyway, we move on. Last pick here. We haven't really addressed the defensive line position yet, but in my sleepers, I did mention him. You guys know who he is. It is Desjuan Johnson, defensive tackle out of Toledo. He's not being talked about, and he's going to fall down the board because he's undersized. And it's not necessarily the height, because some of the best guys in this draft don't have the height. It's because he doesn't have the bulk. And I think scouts are concerned with that. But when I watch the tape, explosive, tears through the gap, smothers the run, rushes the passer, lightning quick first step. He's just got great movement skills for the position. He can get to the sideline laterally. Dare I say, he's a sideline to sideline interior defensive lineman, which is interesting. But he's a true sleeper, and I think in the 7th round, why not? Why not put him with Aaron Donald? Why not figure something out? Why not try? That's where I'm at. When I'm picking in the 7th round, and there are going to be people ask, Jake, why didn't you pick a punter or a kicker or a long snapper? Because I can get that in UDFA. I don't need to pick those guys. I can sign them. Where do you think they found Johnny Hecker, UDFA? Now, you have an argument with kicker because Greg Zuerlein. But for every Greg Zuerlein, there's also a Sam Sloman. So I decided to go, and this team needs to field a roster with 53 players on it. So I just thought it was the best idea to get as many picks as possible in a realistic way, not trade down a ton of times. I think 2 trades is realistic. I also think there's a realistic thing where the Rams look at the board and they're like, you know what? We're kind of in no man's land here. We're in a position where we'll have to reach. Let's just trade up. Let's pay a 4th rounder next year, and let's trade with Kansas City and get that 31st pick or something. It's going to be fascinating. Would not be surprised if they trade in the 1st round. Would not. Remember I said that. I don't know if anyone else is going to remember, but you guys will probably remember. So don't be surprised if the Rams blow this whole thing up and trade in the 1st round. It's not, the common misconception is that it costs a ton. It really doesn't cost as much as you would think. It really doesn't. And that's the misconception, is that it's a really expensive thing to do. I actually did the math for you guys. The 36th pick, according to the trade chart over at drafttech.com, is 540 points. This is the trade chart that teams use. So 540 points, and then the Chiefs, to move down with the Chiefs, that's a 60-point difference. So the 31st pick is worth 600 points, and the 36th pick is worth 540. So if you wanted a Will McDonald at 31 or Emmanuel Forbes or Jalen Hyatt, like I would, I think you'd consider paying that. Maybe you give him a 4th rounder next year. You don't give up anything. You trade up and that's it. That's it. It's an interesting thought, but I'm curious, before we head out of here, and I think this has been fun as hell. I love doing these. We've done them like every year I have been doing YouTube, I think. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I want to get your reaction in the comments section below. You tell me straight up, was it, and I'll highlight all the comments on the screen. It might take a little bit, but I'm going to do it. I got a lot of work to do for tomorrow. But I will stay here and I will highlight comments. So let's do it. What do you give my draft? What grade are you giving it? I'm going to highlight them right now. Also, someone asked about tomorrow, what time we're going live. I'm thinking we'll go live maybe a little bit before the draft or maybe during the draft. I don't know. C+, man, I got some tough graders over here. 9.5 out of 10. I like it. We disagree. I like Hall more than Clayton Tune, but I appreciate the B+. Okay, I got a B from Ray. Mitch really liked the Brenton Cox pickup. Got a B from Mayor. A C from Dr. Dingus. Okay. A+ from Bobby. Appreciate you, Bobby. Again, be as honest as you want. It's not going to offend me. Yeah, I mean, I had a plan going in. B+ from Eric. I had a plan going in that I was going to prioritize those three guys, the big three, if you will. You know, Jalen Hyatt, Emmanuel Forbes, and Will McDonald. And all three of those guys, I've just had the realization I don't think they're falling to 36. And I didn't trade up in this one. So when it got to my pick and Felix Anudike Uzama's gone and all those guys are gone, I'm like, we'll trade down. Appreciate it, Darnell. B-, C, do we draft? I mean, they might draft one of those. They're not drafting both. Edwin, appreciate you with the B+. Man, I'm like losing my voice. I've talked like crazy. I have talked like crazy. No, I agree. I mean, I think that's the thing that people don't understand is that if you're not going to have a pass rush, right? If you're not going to have a pass rush, you need to have a secondary. And I think this gives you that secondary, you know? I like it. Appreciate it, GOAT. All right, B+. I see it. Which Dorian? Dorian Williams out of Tulane or Dorian Thompson Robinson out of UCLA? No, DTR. Well, Mason said that. Yeah, I think all three of them will be gone at 36. I don't expect it. But I'll tell you right now, because this is going to be on video and we can go back, just remember, this mock draft, this is all based on not getting Will McDonald, not getting Forbes, not getting Hyatt. I actually did, and I'm not going to make a big deal about it, but I was doing a mock draft and then I ripped it up essentially, but it had Will McDonald at 36. I had Sam Laporta at 69, Isaiah McGuire at 77. I think it was Jaron Hall. Yeah, it was Jaron Hall, Mekhi Blackman, Ricky Stromberg. Okay, so it was pretty much all right. That's how it is. So if Will McDonald's there or Emmanuel Forbes is there or Jalen Hyatt's there, I mean, I pretty much picked the same guys from the 5th to 7th round with all those picks. Hall, Blackman, Stromberg, Mitchell, Johnson, McClendon. So that's something there, but it did change how I picked. Like I decided to go after Davis Allen, but Sam Laporta is my number one tight end. And initially I got him at 69. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. If Forbes, this is a great question. Appreciate the A. If Forbes, McDonald, Hyatt are available, what order would you take them? So grade-wise, I have Forbes, McDonald, and Hyatt. But I honestly, with what Hyatt could do for this offense and how he is almost like a perfect complement, I might take Hyatt because I think Hyatt in this offense with Stafford, you have Cooper Kupp commanding double teams. The biggest issue with Hyatt is that he's not ready to be day one a number one receiver. He needs to learn the route tree and all of that, right? But when he was asked to run different routes, he succeeded. And I don't think people give him that credit. He's also a willing blocker. He also, like, I see these Will Fuller comps, and my thing to that is, well, here's the thing. Hyatt catches the ball out in front of him. He attacks the ball. Will Fuller let it just pop into his chest. That was my biggest issue with Will Fuller. He was a body catcher, you know? I think we're trying to compare him too much to Fuller and Kenny Stills, and we're missing how close and how similar he is to prime Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace didn't have this extensive route tree, but Mike Wallace damn near broke the NFL in that Steelers offense for a short time. Okay, he was really hard to cover, and when he could get vertical, he could get vertical. So that's one of those guys where I'm like, out of those three, I'd probably pick Hyatt, even though he's the lower one on my board. I have the highest grade out of those three on Forbes, to answer your question. You know, I think, Kareem, when you look at Forbes, this guy has Patrick Peterson-esque qualities. Like, I think he can make a Patrick Peterson impact day one. He's going to fall probably just because he's, like, skinny. But, I mean, Forbes is awesome. He is an awesome player. He's my third overall corner, only behind Devon Witherspoon and Christian Gonzalez. But Forbes, you know, all-around guy. He's got elite speed. So normally these all-around guys, you're looking at the 4.5s. You don't have 4.3. You can play on the boundary. You can play inside. You know, he's got game-breaking ability. He broke the record for most FBS pick sixes. The change of direction, his game against Jamison Williams, he shut him down, man. He's really, really good. And then Will McDonald has this unbelievable bend. He was used incorrectly at Iowa State. And if he falls at 36 and he's the only one out of those three available, yes, I'm taking him. I'm not even thinking twice. So that's what I'll say about that. I appreciate you asking that question. Yeah, I love Forbes as well. I forget how to say his name. It looks like it's Iasovis. It's like Iashovis or Iash. I don't remember how it is. But he is exactly the type of flyer that you take in the later rounds. I could see that. I could definitely see that. And if that's the case, then, you know, if they do that, then they're probably looking at, like you said, 2/3, a second, 2/3, and maybe 2/4. Let's just say that for argument's sake. And in that case, I think DJ Turner, Isaiah McGuire are all on the table. I think Garrett Williams is on the table. I think A.T. Perry's on the table. I think Jaden Reed is on the table. You know, I think Mingo, Charlie Jones. I mean, there are guys that I'm just not as high on. I mean, like, for instance, everyone wants Cam Smith. Cam Smith had 10 penalties. I like Cam Smith, but I'm not falling for that. I want more discipline. Yeah, he's just so underrated, man. I don't understand it. I think Bennett's really good. He probably should stay in school, but I like him. I like him as well. I would say Hyatt is more like Mike Wallace in the sense that he's got more length. Deshaun Jackson was kind of, he was smaller a little bit, but also Deshaun Jackson offered you nothing aside from being a vertical threat that could run some routes. The thing about, Jalen Hyatt is that he would block. Like, he'll block. He'll make plays after the catch. So, yeah, I really like Hyatt. I like FAU a lot. I don't know if he'll be there. We'll see. Should be interesting. I did watch Devon A-Chain. I did. I liked him a lot. I think he graded out as my, what was it? I'm trying to find it. 5th running back. I'm not going to say they don't take him because I'll be honest with you, I could see the Rams doing a bevy of different things. That's what makes this draft so interesting. I mean, I have no idea what the Rams are going to do. They could do so many different things. They're not in a win now mode. It's not like, oh, they'll pick this guy because he can start day one. Like, they might not even be looking at that. They might be totally fine picking guys that are high upside and can't play right away because they look at this season as like, they could try to, win a Super Bowl this year. They could try to go all out. They could trade picks. They could go out and get Chase Young. They could trade a pick for Chase Young. I don't know. I have no idea what they're going to do. I'm just trying to make the best guesstimate while also adding my own spin on it. Be careful with DeJuan Jones. He's fun, like, huge, like literally huge dude. But there's a question on how that's going to translate. And he's not a perfect prospect. I mean, I always say this. If you're a Rams fan, root for the positions you don't want. Or any fan for that matter. If you don't want a quarterback, then you should be rooting for every quarterback to go off the board. If Hendon Hooker comes off the board in the first round, that's one pick where Forbes, McDonald, FAU, Hyatt, those guys can fall. That's how I look at it. I would absolutely consider them if they fell to the second. I think you have to. As of right now, my Rams big board would be a top 5 of Forbes, McDonald, Uzama, Gibbs, and Hyatt. So we'll see what ends up happening. I also have 3 interior defensive linemen in that top 10. I don't think Mozzie Smith won't be there, but Keanu Benton, Brian Breesy. So yes, and I can tell you right now, they've done extensive work on Jaren Hall. So we'll see if he ends up being their quarterback they go with, but they've done a ton of work on him. Man, I'm so tired. So, guys, once again, just want to let you guys know in the description, I have the Nightery invite link. And it's basically what it is. It's a contest. So if you want to get in on it, it's $10. You get a point for every correct pick. You lose a point for every wrong pick. And basically for this, you're going to, make different picks based on, all these different questions. And those questions can be how many SEC players will get picked in a certain round and so forth. So, yeah, if you're interested, I would definitely check it out. Definitely give it a shot. I'm trying to get people in it. I have not gotten many people in it. So, yeah, I'll post a link in the description. Let's see. Well, the link is in the description. I'll post in the comment section. I like Hayner a lot too. I'm probably going to call it a live stream in a bit. Well, in a bit. I mean, soon. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't already. Really does help out the channel. Also, if you guys could do me a favor, we are trying to grow our channel. Let's see. I don't want to leave that. Yeah, Cam and I are trying to grow our Off the Edge channel. So if you guys could do me a favor and subscribe to that for me, I'm going to drop the link there. But I just wanted to throw that out there. We only have 38 subscribers on that, but it'd be cool to get more. We're constantly putting out clips, and obviously all of our shows are going there and everything. Yeah, the Bryce Young video got over 3,000 views. I was like, what? It was so random. But yeah, it's been a lot of work, obviously, but we decided we wanted to kind of turn all these longer form pieces of content into clips. So that's where all of our episodes will live. I will be dropping the mock draft that we just did, the second part of the mock draft, for tomorrow. And then we'll have a new episode on Monday. We're taking the draft off, obviously, but I appreciate that, Kareem. Yeah, it's been an absolute blast, It really has. I think it's just that chemistry that I have with Cam. And I think it carries over, whether it's Believe in Rams or, whether it's Off the Edge. Live stream tomorrow for the draft. Yes, 100% will be live. No questions at all. You'll see it. I'll make a graphic and post it. But yeah, we will 100% be live. No doubt about it. Alexis and I will be live day 1, day 2, and day 3 of the draft. Book it. No question whatsoever. So, more of a Ram-centric coverage. If you guys, if you guys want more of a Ram-centric draft show, that'll be that. We'll still be covering the draft as a whole, but it will have more of a Rams spin on it, more of a Rams look. Early prediction, I think the Titans trade up and get the services of CJ Stroud. I think the Titans are going to get their quarterback of the future, because they clearly don't believe in Malik Willis. And whether that's his fault or not, they still didn't really give him a chance. But I think they go up and get CJ Stroud. I still have so much stuff to do. There's no chance. There is no chance. But I appreciate it. No. And here's why. So Chase Young still has injury baggage. I'm still concerned. The guy's barely played. Like, I can't give up 2 potential day one starters, 2 potential Pro Bowlers, because Pro Bowlers happen in second and third round, for a guy who has a chance to be elite but is never healthy. Might give up one of those picks, but I'm not giving up both. I think AR-15 goes to the Colts. That's what I think. DJ Turner, Michigan corner. All right, guys. I'm getting exhausted. You think the Colts move to 3 to take Stroud? Yeah, I'm not going to be able to catch up on sleep, but thank you. That'll be Saturday night into Sunday morning. The link didn't work for you? I don't know how else to invite you. I'll drop another link. You got to have the app, so maybe when you download the app, I don't know. But yeah, I'm trying to drop it now. Wait, what's the studio link? Now I'm confused. What link did I even give you? Typically we like batch record, so it depends. I mean, some days it's a little earlier, some days it's a little later, you know, right around that 5:30 p.m. time. So, yeah. Yeah, Tajay Spears is really nice. I like A-Chain too. Spears RB3, A-Chain RB5. Oh, my bad. I know exactly what you're talking. Yeah, I did hit the studio link. You're right. Oh my God, dude, I'm so tired. I didn't even realize. There we go. That's the link. Dear Lord. How tired are you? Yes. Oh, man. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, be sure to flood that show or flood that page with subs. We're at 40. We're moving high up. Thank you. Yeah, I try to make it look as clean as possible. I thought it looked really clean. Like, I don't know why. It's simple as hell, but like I got a really good format, I think. And you could go there and honestly, like if you don't have time to watch a full episode, you can click on any of these and we made clips of like all the players we talked about. So I have like a clip of Kendorian Thompson Robinson be the next late round gem at quarterback. And it's a 3-minute video, you know? We wanted to make this as easy as can be for people watching because not everybody has time to watch a full-on 50-minute show, you know? And if you don't, you know, and this is how I look at it. Is that stepping on the show? Is that stepping on the toes of the show? No, and here's why. Because the people that weren't going to watch a full-on show are not going to watch a full-on show. So if I get them to watch a clip or multiple clips, now I got myself a viewer that I wouldn't have had otherwise. That's how you have to look at it. You know? So yeah. And yeah, yeah, absolutely. We did one of them and it was so wonky. We were excited to go live and it didn't go well. Like it wasn't him or wasn't me. It was just the technology. Like it just failing on us. It'll drop tomorrow. So early tomorrow, or it'll drop early this morning, if you know what I mean, because I'll be up. So yeah, it'll drop soon after. I just have to edit some things, but we'll drop that. I'll turn it into clips. Oh my God, I'm gonna turn it into clips. But yeah, we'll turn it into clips and the whole thing. Kareem, there's a potential for that. It depends on a lot. And we'll keep you posted. Right now, we're not advertising any guests are coming on, but there might be one coming on. I appreciate it. What's up, Hilltop? What do you mean? Oh, I invited him on. I was like, hey, you know what? You want to come on? You know, we'll debate this. And I mean, he kind of ignored me. So that's the funny thing. I don't know. I was gonna say something, and what's the thing Michael Scott says? I start a conversation and then I improvise until I get to where I'm going, or I mean, that's not what I do all the time, but I'm definitely doing some of that right now. I did, yes. Yes, I did. How's it going, Andrew? Yeah, I think they trade back from... Honestly, I think they trade back with both. I think they're keeping 69 for the memes. But no, with all due respect, I do think they're going to keep that pick. It fits well into the scope of the draft. I think 77 gives you some breathing room. You could trade down trade down to 88, get a fourth rounder, and you're cooking with gas. 36, you move down to 47, you stay in the top 50, But I don't know, it's weird. It'll be really weird this year because I've been a very critical dude when I'm watching the Rams draft, but I'm just curious to see what they cook up. because this is a different type of, you have to hit this draft. You cannot mess this draft up. Agreed on that part. Yeah, I only moved up 17 spots in the 7th round, which is one of the issues I had that was apparently an issue. I mean, Gerard Clark, who just missed making my mock draft, I could see him falling out. You know, man, it's tough. That's tough. Like, I didn't watch as many prospects as I have in years past. Like in the past, I used to watch like close to 300, 400. And this year I didn't get to 300, I don't think. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell. Yeah, I did. I'm not expecting that. No. That's true. I just, the way I look at it is that, with all due respect, I don't think he educated me, because like, I didn't look at it in a way where I learned from it. Like, what he said was something I already knew, or I already knew what he was talking about. I have respect. I have love for him. And I hold nothing against him, because there were people that were constantly like in my mentions, like, yo, you got dunked on by Andrew Whitworth. And I'm like, well, first off, it was giving the Rams credit. So my previous statements, apparently, like, that's why, like, Whit was kind of just like pulling my leg, so to speak. And then it became something more than that, in which then he was saying I was talking out both sides of my mouth, which I'm going to call BS on, because the reason why I didn't like that, I mean, I have nothing against him and we're fine. I don't have any issue. But the reason I didn't like that is because then that kind of attacks me as somebody, like, you know, what I do. And I'm not talking out both sides of my mouth. You guys know. I mean, let's be honest here. As much as I love Andrew Whitworth, I was for Sean McVay before he even left Cincinnati, right? Before he was even a free agent. If you guys have been following me since DTR, its inception in 2016, you will know that I literally banged the table for Sean McVay before they fired Jeff Fisher. So even before Andrew Whitworth became a Ram, and I went through that 4-12 season like you guys did, I had already signed myself up for Sean McVay. I had signed myself up so much that I was literally putting out articles. I was, making content about it, right? And, with Les Snead, a lot of people were saying, well, you got to get rid of Les Snead. And I was saying, no. Let Les Snead work with Sean McVay. Let's see what happens. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this was Fisher. Maybe, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. So I banged the table for both of them. Banged the table for Sean McVay to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams. And I banged the table for Les Snead to stay as the acting general manager of the Los Angeles Rams. So talking out both sides of your mouth would be like criticizing them, like basically like saying something's good and then something's really not good. Like saying that, okay, being a fan then, not being a fan after. Or the way I look at it is like going for their heads, coming after their job. And that's not what I was doing. And that's not what I ever do. All I try to do is have some sort of unbiased perspective on the Los Angeles Rams. And I don't care how mean this sounds, but what inspired me to do this is the fact that when I was in high school, middle school, I didn't get good coverage. Okay, maybe people in St. Louis can say otherwise, but the St. Louis beat reporters didn't help me in New York learn about the Rams. I didn't know about, different plans that they had. I didn't know about anything that they were working on. There was nothing. That's what inspired me. I was already doing work on my own. I was making my own draft boards. I was making my own depth charts. But I was doing that in myself. I mean, there's a phone somewhere dead in this house where if I could charge it and get it back to life, my notes would have projections for the 2014, 2013, 2012 season. So my point is that I started doing this because I wanted to make sure that people weren't going to go through that. And I don't mean to be unfair, but let's call a spade, let's call it like it is, okay? There was more coverage of the St. Louis Rams after they left. There was more coverage about the move. There was more in-depth analysis about the move than there was when they were playing. Those are the facts. And you could say it's a baseball town and, the St. Louis, and this is not against St. Louis. This is not against the St. Louis fans. But I'm sorry, when myself, I download TuneIn Radio from upstate New York trying to learn about the Rams in at Earth City, and I'm hearing Tarasenko and how we have this superstar running back in Todd Gurley in 2015 that is taking the league by storm, who we drafted 10th overall. And what I'm hearing is Tarasenko. What I'm hearing is is the St. Louis Cardinals. That's what made me want to do this. I want to give real analysis. I don't want to be, when they would talk about the Rams, it was always rushed. It was rushed, and it was in a way where, it's like how ESPN covers NHL. They were like, oh yeah, by the way, the Rams are doing this, but let's get back to Tarasenko and the St. Louis Blues. And do I hold anything against Tarasenko and the St. Louis Blues? No. Although Tarasenko isn't my favorite player right now since he's on the Rangers, and screw the Rangers. But it's not the point. The point that I'm making is that I started all of this. I started doing all of this to be better than that. To not have puff pieces, to not have sidestepping content, but to have real hard-hitting content. Like content that people are like, oh, hell yeah. I get to look forward to this. He's got a mock draft. I'm excited. And I feel like I've gotten that. I feel like that's the response I get, and you guys have been great. But the moment I stop, and I've evolved, because I used to be more of a homer, but no one wants a homer. If I'm going to be a real, analyst, if I'm going to analyze, no one wants a homer. So I'm self-admitting on this show that I was a homer at one point. But I have evolved. I've grown. It happens with time. I mean, I'm 27 now. I've been doing this since 2016. Well, 2016, out in public. Behind the scenes, I can't even tell you how long I've been writing notes down and stuff. But that's not the point. The point is, I've been doing this for a long time. And for a lot of people, that's a short time. But I've been doing this, and I've been trying to get better at it, and I've been trying to deliver content in a way that, hey, I don't hear this. That's an interesting take, Jake. I didn't think about that. And that's why I'll continue to get the hate. I'll continue to get people that disagree with me. I'll have Andrew Whitworth come at me on Twitter and say, I'm constantly, being negative or whatever. That's fine. But I'll say this right now. The moment I go back on my word, the moment, because people are like, there are people that just fly out hating me. I got DMs saying, delete your account, you effing scrub, Whitworth bodied you, whatever. I don't care. But I also got DMs from people saying, bro, respect. Like you held yourself down. Like you held it down there. Like a pro football player came at you, and I was like, yeah, that's true. But first off, a former pro football player, Cameron Lynch, does a podcast with me. Okay, so let's not forget that first thing. But the second thing is, if I change my views just because Andrew Whitworth doesn't agree with them, then why are you listening to me? Why are you watching me? Why are you giving me the time of day if I'm willing to change my views on a dime because I got scared? No. Both things can be true. The Rams deserve credit for winning the Super Bowl. The Rams deserve scrutiny for how they blew up their team. That's all I was saying. At the end of the day, all I was saying is that the Rams have made moves that absolutely deserve, praise. But the Rams have also made moves that are questionable. And there are multiple instances of this. And I'm not trying to go off on a tangent here, and you kind of got a second wind out of me, so this will probably end pretty soon. But let me just say this, okay? Real quick tangent. The Rams. The common misconception is that the Rams couldn't get a lot for Jalen Ramsey because of the contract, and so whatever. The Patriots got a 6th rounder and a future 4th rounder for Sony Michel, who had an arthritic knee. The same injury, the same condition that Todd Gurley was dealing with. Todd Gurley was cut. Sony Michel was going to be cut. And instead the Rams went out and they spent what they did. And that's why, by the way, they don't have a 4th round pick in this draft. I think that's fair. I think that's absolutely fair to scrutinize that. I think it's fair to scrutinize. You couldn't have gotten anything out of Leonard Floyd, just cutting him outright. You cut Bobby Wagner and let him go back to your division rival. Why even bother trading Allen Robinson? That was a pathetic haul. And what was told to me, is like, well, they obviously there wasn't value. Obviously, if they had more value, they would have said yes. But we know for a fact that they would have been able to get more for Ramsey, but instead they took less to do right by him. So that's obviously not true. I think it's a real criticism. The Rams have given up too much, and they get too less in return. They don't get enough in return. They don't. I think it's absolutely fair. But at the same time, talking out both sides of my mouth would be me saying, I think Les Snead should be fired. And then turning around saying, that's a really nice job by Les Snead. That's talking both sides out of your mouth. Not being, not scrutinizing. So that's my final thoughts on that. Like I said, Whitworth and I mean, I'm cool with him as long as, he's cool with me. I took it as a way, like, I didn't like the talking out of the both sides of your mouth piece, but, I felt like him and I were just having a conversation, which, became kind of a dunk on sesh with other people. But I will say, there were quite a few people that ended up being fake. And I won't get too much into that because that's a waste of time. But yes, I think it's definitely fair. And if I don't, that's the thing. If I'm not being real, and if I disagree with a move, but I'm saying I agree with it just to look nice and kiss ass, you guys will stop watching me. You guys will stop listening to me. And that's not what I'm going for. If I'm too negative and it becomes a shtick, okay. If it's a shtick, then okay. I get tired of those things too. I stopped watching that. There are plenty of those things on TikTok and Instagram and so forth. But that's not what this is. It's not a shtick. So I try to see the best in a lot of the players that they have. I've been called a homer. I've been called a fanboy. I've been called Optimist Jake. So maybe you're just seeing a more well-rounded side of me that is willing to admit when I don't. I mean, that's the thing. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be wrong. But here's the thing. If I leave you off with anything, just remember this. One thing I won't be wrong about, one thing that doesn't change anything, is the fact that the Jalen Ramsey trade that you continue to complain about that. Yeah, here's the thing. Nothing they do will make that a good trade. Nothing. Because it wasn't a good return. I'm sorry. You got rid of the best corner in the draft. I don't mismute the contract stuff. I don't care about that. You got rid of the best cornerback not in the draft, in the league. You got rid of the best cornerback in the league who you spent 2 firsts and I believe a 4th for. You won a Super Bowl, great. Totally love that. But you traded him away for a 3rd and a tight end who has caught 1 pass in the NFL. I'm right. I'm not always right, but that will stand the test of time of me being right because that was not a good move. It wasn't. They didn't get enough in return. They should have gotten both 3rd round picks out of Miami in return. One of them and Hunter Long is not getting 2 3rd round picks. Okay. Then I mentioned to Witt, Nick Scott, David Edwards, Taylor Rapp, Greg Gaines. I mean, Greg Gaines is the only one that got paid more than $3 million out of that group. Rams couldn't bring back any of those guys. I mean, they're cheap. So I don't know. And I'm sure Witt and I agree on other stuff. And I understand he's tight with the front office, and they did right by him, and he did right by that. They're tight. I get that. I'm not trying to get him in trouble for something he didn't do, but I also have a job to do, and I'm going to keep it 100 over here on JE Live forever and always. So with that said, appreciate you guys watching. This has been my mock draft. It's super long, but it really isn't that long. It's about 40 something minutes. So what I would say is I will maybe break up that into a true video because the live stream went a little bit longer than I expected. But yeah, appreciate you guys. You guys take care. And I'll see you on the other side tomorrow. I think it's 8 a.m., 8 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern time. I'll see you guys then. So you guys take care and tune in tomorrow. Alexis and I live stream all 3 days of the NFL draft. You can find it on this channel. You can find it on her channel. You can find it on Downtown Rams channel. I believe it'll be on Downtown Rams channel. And that's where it'll be. So be sure to check that out. I also have a interesting little thing that I'm doing post-draft. I'm doing a live stream for a certain big brand that but that's just a tease. I won't say anything more there. Huge opportunity. So appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys soon. Later, folks. Do you need some energy to get through the day without relying on coffee? I got just the thing for you. It's called Neuro, and I'm partnering up with them for today's video. Neuro has gum and mints to energize, calm, and focus when you need it. They were developed by former athletes who were training at the highest level and simply didn't want to take any mysterious supplements or energy drinks when studying, training, or even going out. Instead of something sugary and ineffective, they wanted to create clean and balanced energy that could be taken anytime and anywhere. Their energy and focus formula is specially formulated with natural caffeine, theanine, and B vitamins to sustain the mental endurance necessary to maintain your focus. Their calm and clarity formula is expertly developed with GABA, vitamin D3, and L-theanine. to optimize composure and clarity of mind. Their health and vitality formula is specially infused with life-enhancing, immune-boosting vitamins to help strengthen and support your body. What makes Neuro different? Neuro's gone through dozens of formulations, process, and tests to ensure that each gum and mint they make delivers on their promise of getting you in the right state at the right time. Unlike other heat-extruded gum and mints, Neuro's products are created using cold compression technology, which maintains each ingredient's bioavailability. Neuro is a clean boost of energy without the jitters of coffee or an energy drink. With so many challenges and demands, it can be really hard to stay focused, and Neuro does a great job of keeping you calm, cool, and collected. Stress, fatigue, lack of focus can all impact decision-making abilities. Recently, I had been feeling sluggish and have been distracted with everything going on in my life. These Neuro Mints, however, have allowed me to stay on task and have stayed calm, cool, collected, as well as alert, and I've been able to change my approach and focus on the task at hand. Go to my sponsor link now down below, tryneurogum.com/JKB to enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it.